So today what I wanted to do is look at another specific writing category, and this time we're going to look at apostrophes, which is W2. So this is one of the writing categories, and basically I'm going to be going through each one of these, giving you some very basic bare bones strategies, and going over a couple questions just to sort of give you an idea of how to solve these. Later I'm going to go back through these, I'm going to edit these, update them, make them more concise, make them a little more concise and more detailed. So basically, I'm going to go back through and analyze these and sort of give you better information. But I wanted to put these out there so you can have a sort of an idea of where to start if you're struggling with these concepts. So we're going to start with apostrophe. Just a quick word. Some of the examples that I'm going to be giving you are from official, they're actually all from official SAT questions. So if you're saving these tests because you want to go back through them for testing or whatever, you might want to skip them. A little bit of a word of just clarity here is this right here. This number is going to represent the number of the question in the test. This right here is going to represent the category. So if it's R, it's reading. If it's W, it's writing. If it's NC, it's no calc, etc. And this is the test. So this is PSAT number 1. This is official test number 6. This is PSAT number 3. And you can look at sort of my conventions for knowing what's PSAT 3 and what's test number 12 or whatever. And on some of my resources, I'll try to put that down below. But for now, let's just jump into some of the apostrophe rules that you need to know. And there's really only 4 or 5 things that you have to know to get these questions right. Apostrophes don't come up a whole bunch, but they do come up every now and then, so it's important to know what these rules are. So the rules you need to know is basically add plus S for regular single nouns. And this is the most standard type of possessive that you'll use. So basically dog, we have a regular singular noun, and we're going to add apostrophe S for bowl. Same thing here. This is Matt's house, apostrophe S, boom, done. Regular singular noun, pretty straightforward, nothing there. Then we need the second rule, which is use plus apostrophe S, even if the word ends in S. So I haven't really actually seen this being tested on the SAT, but it's important to know because you never know what they might come up with going in the future. But this is basically if you have a regular singular noun that ends in S, don't just put an apostrophe after the S. Instead, put apostrophe S after the final S. So here's an example. Jesus, regular singular noun that ends in S. But if we're going to make it possessive, we're still going to add apostrophe S, even if it looks a little bit weird to have this right here, this apostrophe S. So this was Jesus's sandal, apostrophe S. Or we could say Ross, I want Ross's hair, right? Apostrophe S, even though we end in an S here. So that's the second rule. Third rule is use S apostrophe for regular plural nouns, right? So let's say, for example, student. Student is singular, but we want to say plural. We say students, and we want to talk about their school. All we do is add an apostrophe at the end of this plural noun. Same thing here. Volunteers, end in plural. S, put an apostrophe. Then we get possessive plural. Volunteers results. Then we have this right here, use apostrophe S for irregular plural nouns. This is basically when you have a plural noun that you don't make it plural just by adding an S. So for example, we have person, the plural of person is people instead of persons, or the plural of child is children as opposed to childs, I guess, yeah. So what we would do is we convert this to people and then we just add an apostrophe S to right, even though this is plural. The last thing is its versus its, so it apostrophe s versus just its. And this is more so a concept used for what I'll put in commonly confused words. However, it still comes up with apostrophe, so it's important to know it. It apostrophe s is the contraction for its, and then no apostrophe is the possessive, so it's a little bit backwards. So this would be don't touch its tail, where its is possessive. That was its home, where its is possessive. This is it apostrophe s, so this means it is hot today, or it is not funny. Anytime you see that apostrophe, just sort of verbalize it, vocalize it as it is, and that will help you to avoid making mistakes there. So let's look at a couple examples of how to solve this. So this is question 29 from PSAT 1, and this basically says the almanac's editor, Janice Stillman, etc. So we got to figure out almanacs. And you want to, a lot of these sometimes are actually not possessive at all, or you have to figure out what is possessive. I don't really have a quick protocol or a quick strategy for figuring this out, but you have to ask basically what's owning what, and you have to kind of infer and figure out what is doing the possessing here. So in this case, the almanac is possessing the editor, right? It's the almanac's editor. And we have the, so this is telling us that almanac is singular. So it's going to be the almanacs, right? So if it's singular regular noun, we're going to do almanac apostrophe s, almanac's editor. right? Simple case. 42 here is we say, even the complete relaunch of DC Comics superheroes line, right, or superhero line, whatever, in 2011 has failed to arrest. Okay, so what we need to first decide is what is possessive and what is not. And we need to figure out that DC Comics is what's possessing the superhero line. So superhero is sort of functioning like an adjective here. What kind of line is it? It's a superhero line, right? And so we don't need that possessive there. The only one that matches this is D, right? Comic superhero line. But let's look at the possessive for DC Comics. So DC Comics is plural. So what do we do when we want to make a plural a possessive? All we do is we add the apostrophe at the end. So DC Comics apostrophe. And so A or D could kind of work for this one. But we don't want superheroes to be possessive, and this comma is out of place. So then we would choose answer choice D for this one. Then we have 12. So this is Italy's Tower of Pizza has been leaning southward since the initial stages of its construction, right? So its construction, its is going to be possessive here. We don't want the IT apostrophe S. We want just regular ITS, and that's it. So none of these answer choices A, B, or C could work, so it has to be D. Good. Then we have 36, which is basically talking about its. This is a hard one, so let's go through it slowly. Ceratops, we're going to say Triceratops, was even nicknamed the Texas Longhorn of dinosaurs because of its horn similarity, right? So its horn similarity. So here we actually have two possessions. So one is its horns, right? So its needs to be possessive. That means it could be C or D because it is possessing the horns. And then it's whose similarity? It's the horn similarity. So horns is also possessive here. Now what we need to figure out is horns is actually plural. So horns similarity. So when we're changing a plural noun into being a possessive, what we do is just put apostrophe at the end. So that's going to be right here, that apostrophe. It's horns similarity. Good. And so we would choose answer choice C as our correct answer because we need the possessive and D doesn't have it. So we would get rid of that. Last one is going to be 17. Each nest has been baited with 4 quail eggs, which are similar, etc. So here, what we need to do is look, this is a case where we actually don't need any possession. It's basically quail. 4 quail is describing eggs, so they're like adjectives, right? What kind of eggs? They're quail eggs, and eggs aren't possessing anything. So it's just going to be here, 4 quail eggs. Sorry, that's quail's eggs. So baited with 4 quail eggs here is the right one. And this is a case where it looks like we might need an apostrophe, but in reality we don't. So those are just some quick examples of the type of questions that you get. These are the main rules that you need to solve them. Do some more in-depth strategies. So I hope that was helpful. Leave a comment below. Let me know what else I left out, what was confusing, and what else I can help with.